Nigeria has renewed MTN Nigeria's operating spectrum. It's also extended the operating license to 2021 for $94 million. Now, MTN's operating spectrum and its digital mobile license were issued back in 2001, and both were due to expire in February next year. So the renewal comes as MTN negotiates a $5.2 billion fine imposed on it by the Nigerian Communication Commission last week. MTN failed to unsubscribe millions of unregistered customers, according to the law. The company earns 37% of its revenue from Nigeria. Its shares have dropped by 25% since the fine was announced. The Johannesburg Stock Exchange also suspended trading for a few hours yesterday before resuming again. The Public Investment Corporation, MTN's largest shareholder, has expressed concern about its alleged non-compliance with telecommunications regulations in Nigeria. Well, our correspondent Sophia Odengo is in Abuja. Let's join her now for the latest on this matter. Sophia, good afternoon. So we understand that the focus now is really on the negotiations between MTN and the regulator over that $5 billion fine. Any development on a possible resolution?
Well, as you have mentioned, MTN CEO Sophia Odengo is here resetting the business relationship between MTN and the Nigerian authorities. He has been engaging in a two-day meeting with the Nigerian authorities, namely, or even surprisingly, the President's Chief of Staff amongst the executives of the Nigerian Communications Commission. And the idea is perhaps to reduce the fine if a negotiation is arranged because the outstanding $5 billion that has been fined to MTN at the moment has been seen as rather a steep and harsh penalty to the telecom provider. So at this point, the CEO of MTN and the the Nigerian Communications Commission are trying to find a way in which business can continue and go forward, but we have not heard any more developments beyond that at this point. Devin?
So it's a wait and see, but just given the enormous figure, what's been the reaction from the ground in Nigeria, from the public at least?
Well, let's begin with MTN as a service provider. You know, MTN has got one of the largest shares here in Nigeria, perhaps the biggest in Africa, with almost 62 million subscribers. And the Nigerian public has learned to depend on MTN services. However, what has become a burden, more or less, on MTN is to be able to have the 5.1 million subscribers that are unregistered to register. MTN has gone ahead and made that possible, but also pleading to the Nigerian Communications Commission to have more time to do so, saying that the service would hamper the service quality to the consumers. And there has been a complete backlash in that consumers have come out in a very big way, almost forming civil society organizations looking at MTN's increase in tariffs and asking them to be reduced, continued drop calls, and also the service as a whole being more or less having been impacted by the rush to have this outstanding 5 million subscribers registered, and as a result, as we have seen, the $5 billion that has been leaned onto MTN at the moment, which is currently being negotiated. Devin?
And then, Sophia, I mean, lastly, just given the enormity of the situation, does this now just cast the spotlight on the business future for MTN in Nigeria? What is that likely?
Well, as we can term it, the silver lining for MTN is, this year the licensing did expire, and the Nigerian Communications Commission has gone ahead to renew that license. However, a clause has been implemented. In other words, all regulations must be followed by the end of December. So past November 16th, when the deadline to actually have this fine paid is met by MTN or renegotiated, we have still yet to understand what the outcome of that is. But on that basis, MTN is allowed to conduct its business, at least here in Nigeria, for the next 5 years.
Thanks
Devin.
very much indeed. Sophia Odengo, our correspondent in Abuja. Thanks indeed for your time.